BulkLoads Podcast, your number one resource for everything bulk freight trucking.
All right, that's the concept.
Hey guys, Jared Flinn with the BulkLoads Podcast. Got Tyler in here with me.
What's going on?
There are people in this country that work hard every day, not for fame and fortune. Do you know what band that is?
That is the one and only Alabama band.
Today, we're going to bring on Josh Gentry. He is the son of Teddy Gentry of the band Alabama. This is going to be awesome, and you are going to love this show.
Yeah, we were just talking the other day. I mean, how you were telling a story about how you just remember driving in the truck with your dad or grandpa and, listening to Alabama. I think if you're raised right, you have that story.
Raised right. Yeah, this is one of those, oh my gosh. And I know not everybody grew up the same, but I think a lot of them grew up similar. Again, if you're my age, grew up, I was born in 1980, but in the 80s, this band took off. I mean, they set the stage for country music. I mean, the multiple songs that went number one and still played today is just awesome.
Yeah. Jared, were you starstruck at all when talking to Josh and how he was talking about his dad? And
believe it or not, I wasn't as much as I thought I'd be. Now, maybe if Teddy was on there with him, I may have been, but it's just a cool story. And it's just a good old boy story, that tells kind of the a little bit about the band and his experience. I think a lot of people may know Josh. He's big on social media. He's been to a lot of the truck shows. Obviously, Alabama has been on that. We're going to digest more of that, probably more on the end. As we always do, I don't want to get away. We do have a truck feature today.
Yep. Today's truck feature is Zach Weeks with Z&W Trucking out of Holbert, Oklahoma. Zach's been a member with us since 2020, so going on 5 years now. Man, what a beautiful truck. This has to be a show truck. If you picked this because it's blue, right? I did not, but it is good looking.
Yeah. Beautiful setup.
Nice to get that. Yeah. It's got the matching fenders on the tanker. It's nice to get a tanker.
It all comes together. With the chrome and the blue and the tanker and the truck, well done.
Yeah, what a sharp rig.
What a beautiful truck.
Yeah. As always, guys, if you want your truck featured on this podcast or on our social media, definitely just send it in to us. You can send it on any of our social channels or simply email it to us, podcast@bulkloads.com, and we'd be happy to feature you.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't want to talk more about this. We'll talk more on the outro, and I got a little secret. So watch to the very end, because there is something that I didn't even know was going to happen, and we're going to talk about it at the end. So with that said, here is my conversation with Josh Gentry. Oh, play me some mountain music. I had to throw that in there at the very beginning. So I have to tell you, that was the very first song I can remember as a child. And my dad lived on a farm and three brothers, but we would ride with him, and he had an old red Dodge Power Wagon. And I remember nobody was in a seatbelt, but there was my three brothers standing up on the seat, that bench seat. And my dad would be listening to mountain music, Alabama. He had an Alabama cassette tape. And that was like the first song, that and the other ones that were on that cassette track. And it's just still today, anytime I hear that song come on, it just brings back those flashbacks.
Those memories like that will be the ones that you'll remember for the rest of your life, though. They don't go anywhere.
Yeah. I got Josh Gentry on. You're son to Teddy Gentry, right? The band member of Alabama.
Yes, sir.
And man, I just consider this a privilege and honor to bring you on today. Hopefully I can stay focused here, but man, I think we're going to have a lot to cover, primarily because, man, you're one of us. Just, in trucking, but dealing with agriculture and bulk trucking and livestock. So we're going to branch into that, all of the above. But Josh, just to kind of set the stage for those that may not know you specifically, talk about your story.
Well, my story was, realistically, I started, I was born into the lineage of Alabama, the group. Alabama signed a record deal in 1980, and I was born in 79. I've had so many experiences over the course of my life that that I contribute to the life and love that my dad has had for the music that they have performed. And it has just kind of progressed into many different things. Like we've spent summers traveling, going to concerts, and then when I was a kid, we used to show cows, and my dad has an absolute love and a desire for good cattle, and we've got some amazing cattle, and that's kind of spawned over into my love and my obsession of music and agriculture, and then trucks has just been something I've loved since I was old enough to know what they were. So it's everything's just kind of like throughout my life, it's like one thing has kind of fed off of another, and it's just been kind of like a defining thing that I'm so blessed in so many ways that I've been given this aside from getting to live in the light of my dad and see what he does and see his passion come to the surface of what he does, and getting to kind of like share in his love and his passion for the agriculture, and then my side of the trucking thing has just always been, that's just been an obsession. I mean, that's just all that's been. So
Well, I want to back up just even a little bit more because, the band Alabama, it is a family business. I was reading up on, I didn't realize that, but can you just talk kind of high level how that all started?
well, it started as far as like the band Alabama. It's three cousins. Dad, Randy, and Jeff were all related. They're all related. Jeff passed away about 3 years ago. But they all started as I mean, it's the only way to say it is it was three guys that absolutely loved music and they loved playing music together, and that's kind of sort of what started the whole entourage of Randy, Dad, and Jeff in the early days. And I seriously would love to get Dad to tell you just like the basement stories, like the stories of when they started and what all that entailed when they were at the Bowery and they played at the Bowery in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and all the things that they went through and endured and grew into being what the group Alabama became. But as far as for me, like I said, I mean, I was born in '79, and Alabama was signed a record deal in 1980. And from there, I mean, it was just kind of like, I think the thing is with me that I've always done is I've never, people ask me, and I've had people ask me over the years, they've asked me, it's like, what's it like, with your dad being who he is? And it's like, I ain't got no idea. I say, he's just always been my dad. And like, I've never viewed him any differently than a son looks at his dad that gets up and does row crops every day or goes and works at the carpet store every day. I mean, he's just always been my dad. And I've gotten to realize over the course of again, going back to like the reality of life has always been to me is like, even when I'm like, I drive Alabama's truck now and go to all the shows, and I still, when I'm there at those shows, that's my dad. So
Yeah. Before, I mean, the band really hit it big. What were their occupations? Because I thought I heard something about was there some trucking involved even before?
the only like on my side of the family, no. The what we did was dad laid carpet
Okay.
for and that's actually how he met my mother. Um, they he worked for a carpet store here in town in Fort Payne, and they got contracted to go lay carpet at my grandmother's house, and that's how he met my mother. And then as far as trucking goes from like extended family, oh, it's yeah. Like that's the crazy thing about my whole situation is like in my immediate family, like I'm the only one that's truck nuts. I'm the only one that's like, there's no one in my immediate family that's like Randy's sister. They drove for years. They drove Alabama's, her and her late husband, they drove Alabama's merch truck for years for Alabama. And then other than that, that's it. That was it. I mean, that's the crazy part about it is like me coming out of the woodwork, and it's like, oh, Josh, because I'm that's the other thing too is I'm a drummer. I've played drums since I was 3, 4 years old,
Yeah.
and I've never had a lesson before in my entire life. Completely 100% God given talent, and um, I moved to Nashville to pursue that, and literally I realized then I was like, no, no, no. I need to be back around like diesel fumes and cow pies.
Hey guys, Jared Flynn here. Thank you for listening to the BulkLoads Podcast. We know that a lot of you subscribe and are members of BulkLoads, but if you are not, and if you haven't created an account, click down in the link below, and we want to get you signed up on BulkLoads. We have thousands of loads posted every day, a lot of content to help you improve your business. So if you get a chance, go right below, bulkloads.com, click on the link to sign up, and we will get you all taken care of. Thank you, and God bless. You mentioned Fort Payne. Obviously, we know Alabama. What part of the state are you guys located in? You guys in the northern?
Northeast. I'm about 50 miles south of Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's where I'm at.
And I know you mentioned cattle. So in that area specifically, and I should probably know this, but I assume fair amount of cattle, row crop, kind of what's
There's
the
row
agricultural
crops.
setting?
My cousin, they are a cousin of mine. They row crop about 2,500 acres. And that was actually my first trucking driving job, was hauling corn for them. And then soybeans, hauled soybeans for them, just from the farm to the elevators. And we've done grass cattle my whole entire life. The cousin of mine that I labeled is Ken Murphy, in Sand Rock, Alabama, and he is the first one that gave me a grain hauling job, and that's actually when I fell in love with that form of the industry, was because of going to the elevators and chicken feed mills and meeting all the people that I met there, and just they were just good old boys and loved trucks and loved farming, and it's just like I'd sit and talk to them for the whole entire time I was there.
So really your first start in trucking, because I remember you got your CDL 28, is that right?
I did.
But really your first form of trucking was like grain hauling?
Yes, 100%.
What talk about the first truck?
Oh my gosh. It was a 80, if I'm not mistaken, it was a 86 AM General, which is military truck. It was it was a 40-foot empty. It was a ag hopper, and it was the I can't remember. It's been so long ago. I can't remember. It was an older hopper. But it was a golly bum, I can't even remember what size of the dimension. It was an old trailer. When I it was one of the corn, I call them corn hoppers, is what I call them. Like they're the small sides. They're not the what is it, 78 and 70, is it 72? Does it go down to 72? And then but anyway, it was that. And then like we literally would go, and if anybody has never drove an AM General, I strongly recommend, if you want to appreciate what you have, go drive an AM General with about 85,000 pounds of either soybeans or corn on. And I promise you'll appreciate a cinder block with a sheet of plywood. I mean, like seriously, you would have so much appreciation, because That was actually that was the first truck I drove the first year. It was like a short wheelbase, like springs on it that could make a Goodyear tire bounce to the moon. It just roughest riding, but I mean, I loved it. It was my first actual trucking I think I was 20, because I mean, you're ag exempt.
Yep.
And so I think I was 25, 26.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
Talk about, probably get a little deeper here, but like growing up, obviously, the 80s band takes off, but I mean, you're witnessing all that, but I mean, still, you got to figure out where your career is going to be and where God's going to lead you in life. But like, kind of talk about that, because again, obviously your dad's your dad, but having crazy success. And like, how did you figure out where to land in life? I guess, if I can be so deep with you on that question.
Well, I think the thing is I've always known that trucking in any form, like, I mean, because I've kind of dabbled in not everything. I can't say that I've dabbled in everything in every aspect, but the thing is the hopper gig has always been like a love. I've just always had a love for that style and form. I mean, however you want to label it, of trucking. And I've said since back then, when I first had my first job on my cousin's farm, hauling grain for them. I've said for many, many years, I said, this is what I want to do. Like, this is the life that I absolutely love. I mean, and I know realistically, like in today's world, I mean, like you can look at it as the way my grandfather used to always tell me. My grandfather said, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I think a lot of people live by that example even today. But he said, don't make exceptions for what you don't want to accept. And I've always took that as being like, don't do something just for something, like love it, or either like don't do it, kind of thing. Don't do something just for the money. Don't do something just because of the status or whatever the case may be. And it's like, I mean, to kind of come full circle, is like I went to college, and my first avenue that I went when I got into college was I was a biology major, and I was going to go into sports medicine. And the sole reason, it kind of goes back to like where I was saying, like I was the only one in like my immediate family that was like, oh, I love trucks, And then it's like, and then like when I went to college and I thought, you know what, I want to do this. I've never ever had a desire to want to do it. Never had a desire, like never was a passion or anything like that. And I realized, I was like, I'm not going to spend 10, 12 years of my life doing something just because of the status of it, or just because of the money or whatever, the financial freedom or whatever the case may be. And I realized that I would rather, if it took it, I'd rather make $1 to do something I love than to make $1 million doing something I hate or despise or don't have a passion for. And so the trucking has always been, it's just always been one of those things that it's just been an absolute love. It's not just a love, I don't think. It's more like it's what I feel like the Lord's called me and wants me to do. And because like you can't love something and desire something in the way that I feel like that I do without it being a love and a passion that God has put on your heart. And it's like, regardless of whether that be driving an AM General the rest of my life, if that's what it takes, I'll be happy doing it. And I sure hope that he doesn't hear this interview, because then he'll be like, all right, here you go.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
you want me to test you? I'm going to test you now.
Right. You're going to be like, Josh, I need another interview. And I'm going to be like, I don't know. And you're like, well, I guess I'll just send it to your old boss. And I'll be like, nope, I'll be ready.
Yeah. And I mean, what you said is just gold, because I think so many of our members listen to this, and we're dealing with all stages of trucking companies, and we deal with a lot of guys just getting into it, just starting up with that dream of running a hopper bottom or whatever bulk trailer it is, but really trying to figure out, can and I think too, a lot of people do this because they absolutely love the trucking, but are they going to be able to make it? I think is the bigger question. Like I have a passion for this. I love the trucks. I love everything about it. The diesel fumes, dealing with grain facilities. But I mean, is there the money in it to support me and my family and everything else?
I firmly believe that anything you do, if you don't love what you do, it doesn't matter what kind of money you make, you're never going to be happy.
Yeah.
And I think that if you can find contentment in being complete in a sense to where you are fulfilled, because the thing is like our desires are always going to be to want more and more and more. Like it doesn't matter what we do, we're always going to want more and more and more. But that should also be the stage that you leverage yourself to do better, be better in all aspects. And it's like I don't want to just be like, my goal is to not just be a one truck operation. I would love to eventually get to where I've got 6, 7, 8 trucks. I mean, that's what I'd love to do. My goal in life is to be has always been to have a truck that I can make a living with, but 2, the B side of A is to have something that my hands, that my heart has derived up, and like a desire that God puts in my heart, that I can actually put that into fruition and make it a reality. And that's truly that's where my heart is. So
Yeah. Talk about the day in the life of Josh Gentry, because again, you're pulling driving the van, the equipment around. I don't know what specific, because I'm sure there may be multiple trucks with all the equipment and merchandise and all that. So I want you to speak on that. Is there just one? Okay,
just one truck. It's
one
me,
truck.
number
Okay.
uno.
So yeah, I guess in the day in the life, talk about the balance between that, because again, that's seasonal. That's not all the time.
Right.
With the other jobs, you got the farming operation. How does all that work in the schedule?
Well, Alabama, as they've got, years ago, like when their schedules were more, I guess you could say, intense, their schedules, they were doing 250 dates a year. Kenworth jumped on as a sponsor for Alabama in 1988. And they sponsored Alabama from 88 till 2004. And then when Alabama came off the road in 2004, as I call it a trial retirement. But they came off the road from 2004 and they started touring again in 2012. And they've been touring ever since 2012. And their schedule is actually, majority of all their shows now are between Thursday and Sunday. Every like whenever they book shows, sometimes they'll have them consistently, but realistically, no, they don't have them like more than, like, they'll have a weekend of 2 shows, maybe 3, and then they have a week off, and then they maybe do another weekend. So it's actually really good. It levels it out to where, like, everybody that's in the organization, we have our normal life, which my normal life is coming off the road from shows and go work on the farm. Go take care. We run 350 head, I guess. Maybe close to 400.
Oh, wow.
But we're literally like, we've got a guy that manages everything, pretty much on his own by himself. Like if there's anything that needs to be done, if we need to move cows, vaccinate cows, sort cows, wean calves, whatever it is we need to do, he's got somebody that he can call to come in and help him if I'm not here. But it's such a easy flow, because it's like I'm gone and then I'm home. So it's like I've got ample amount of home time, but I'm like the longest I think I've been out was 30 days. I was gone for 30 days straight. And it was when we did a West Coast run last year. And
Yeah,
I was on.
I want to interrupt you right there because I was just trying to think in my head too. Because if you have, these little gaps, but if you're on a West Coast run, like are there times where you just leave the truck parked and you fly home and then come back? The truck always comes back home.
I stay with the truck until the truck is done, and then the truck. I'm actually where I'm at right now is I'm at the Alabama Fan Club in Fort Payne in the conference room, and the truck is actually sitting out in the. There's a bay. The truck sits inside, and yeah, every time the truck leaves, the truck comes back with me, no matter where we're at. So,
okay. So I mean, it could work out where you're, out west, and then you may bring that thing back and go right back out west with it again. I mean,
the way they normally try to set their shows up is when I leave out, like when I left out, I can tell you exactly where we went last year. It was South Dakota. Then we went to Iowa, Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington, and then we finished out at the Calgary Stampede in Calgary, Canada.
but that, I don't want to get in the weeds, but there were several of those trips. So like South Dakota, the truck comes back, then goes back up to Iowa, then comes back and then goes out.
I stay out the whole entire time.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's all stacked in there pretty close on.
Yes. Like there might be like 3 or 4 or 5 days in between, like say one show and another. But I stay with the truck because then and realistically it's smart. Instead of me having to take the time to go from there home and then turn and go all the way back like a few hours later, because I mean I technically probably would have had to do that. I just stay out and I get a hotel room and that's where I camp out for a few days and then go to the next show. So it's good because by the time I come, like when I leave, I'm like, gosh, I can't stay in this town. And by the time I'm ready to come home, I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty good little town.
You know about camping out. So do you ever stay in that truck or is it usually in a hotel?
No, okay. I sleep in the truck. Probably if we're gone on I say 7 days on a 7-day run, I sleep in the truck probably 3 nights of that 7-day run. Yeah. But like whenever we get to the show, like I've got a hotel room. So
you said it's just that one trailer with all the equipment. Is that right? What about the merch and all that? Because I sometimes you see
I haul all that.
It's all stacked. It's all compartmentalized.
And the thing is like there's nothing that's stacked. Everything is rolled in straight. Like there's nothing stacked on top of another. Everything is rolled straight in. The merch is on the dance floor of the trailer because it's a drop frame trailer. The merch is all on the dance floor and all the gear is on the main floor. It's crazy.
Your dad and uncle and I mean the other band members, I assume they on a bus separately or however
they do. They do. Depending on the distance, they will ride a bus. They'll get a bus to the shows. If it's far off, they call them fly dates. And we've got all Pelicans in cases. Like if they need to take their instruments or guitars, I carry all like their drums, their amps, their mics, their PAs, their stuff like that. That's what I carry, and that's what I haul to all the shows. But all of the sound, lights, the main, like your digital wall, stuff like that, that's all usually contracted out. They do. All we haul is our own stuff. I mean, pretty much. So
I was just trying to think too. And, I met one of our members up in Kansas. He was one of the drivers for one of Toby Keith's trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was on tour for that. And then he was not there. He was in central Kansas hauling sand and rock, and then he'd go back on that. But I guess, how does someone, if they have that ambition, get lucky to land a job like that? Like, is it just luck of the draw, or like, how does someone, if you have an ambition or drive to say, man, I'd love to be part of a band or driving a rig for one of
For
these
like a
bands.
tour or something?
Yeah, for a tour. Because you hear about, like, I just saw, and I'm gonna get booed by saying this, but it was just on the news, like Taylor Swift was bonused her truck driver or something like that. I mean, it was
she did, and I went and I've held that over like Dad, Randy, like everybody's head, and like, y'all hear what Taylor Swift's drivers got?
I would assume, and that's what I was going to ask too. I want you to answer that question, but then also answer this: who technically is your boss? Who do you report to?
Our road manager is pretty much the only one that I deal with.
Okay.
I mean, like, as long as I'm there, Dad, Randy, and the rest of the band, they don't give a rip. As long as I'm there, that's what they care about. The one that handles all of my scheduling, like as far as like getting to the venue, backing up to the dock, getting from the venue to the hotel, getting from the hotel back to the venue. That's all road manager. That's all of our road man. He is absolutely, his name's Jeff Davis, and he is absolutely, him and Alabama's stage manager are two of the best people in the business, in my opinion. Like they make what I do so simple and so easy. And it's just like when you have people in your corner that they want to help you to be better at what you do, and that you can help them do their job better. I mean, it's just like we're just a very well greased machine, and we work like it's a dream job. It truly is a dream job.
Well, and that's why I want to go back to that question. Like, for someone out there that like would love to have that dream job, what would you recommend? How would they even maybe get started or think about trying to get on a list to maybe get selected to be a driver?
Well, there's touring companies out there. You've got Upstaging, and if you want me to send you links to these places, I definitely can. Upstaging, there's Stage Call, there's Set, there's all kinds of touring companies out there. It's just a matter of, the thing is, and the reason why a lot of people, and I've actually told several people that entertainment hauling is not your normal form of trucking. It's not. You have a majority of your driving is at night, like because you go from one show to another, and you've got to be at the show, leave the show, go to the next show, and you got to be there the next morning. And so it's more of a critiqued in form of trucking. What I do with Alabama, with being just a one truck deal, it is absolutely, like I said, I mean, I've told many people, like I've got several friends that are in the entertainment hauling business, and I told them, he's like, when Alabama retires, are you going to continue doing entertainment hauling? I went, no. No, I don't want to have anything to do with, because of the fact that it's like when you have this atmosphere like this on this stage, and when you do major, you do it on a major scale. Like I'm more of like if I wanted to be a one truck, one hopper bottom guy, I'd do it and be happy the rest of my life. That's the reason why I like this so much, because it's just me. Like, it's so, like I said, I'm probably not the best one to compare this to, because of the fact that it's like I said, I mean, this has just been absolutely a dream come true, because I get to drive and I've got to say this, I get to drive the best truck brand in the country, in my opinion, and that's a Kenworth truck. And it's an absolute honor that Kenworth has jumped back on and jumped back in to the dance floor with us. And it's been an absolute honor and a privilege because I've gotten opportunities this year. I got to go through the Kenworth plant in Chillicothe, and I got to go through the Kenworth plant in Renton.
Yeah.
And just I gotta give Kenworth some absolute roses because they have been absolutely amazing to us. So
Kenworth, they donate the truck, and
it's a lease truck. I mean, it's
Yep.
it's a sponsor. Like we've got Kenworth on emblem on the side of the truck, and we play. Alabama does their 100th year anniversary, and you can find that video on. I think it's on YouTube. The 100th anniversary video that video gets played before every show, and then it's just kind of it's really been, honestly and truthfully, it's almost kind of been like I've gotten to drive around this it's a 2021 T680 Kenworth, and I get to travel the country in this truck, and it's just been, like I said, it's just been a dream come true because
I was just gonna say, but it's like, what better sponsor? I mean, I'm thinking of Kenworth, like this is like a dream for them because this one of your iconic songs deals with trucking, one of the most famous songs in trucking, and I think it's equal a privilege for Kenworth to be selected to be a sponsor for the band Alabama.
Well, they're the ones that literally, like in 1987. They came pretty much. Kenworth came to Alabama and said, like, Alabama was like, we need trucks, and Kenworth said, hey, we'll do it. And so it just started from there on. And like the Alabama played at the Mid-America Trucking Show in Louisville, Kentucky, from '88 till 2002, I believe. 2021 or 2001, 2002. I can't remember when the last time they played there. I think it was 2020. 2002. I keep wanting to say 2022, but that was just my growing up with the Kenworth logo on the front of those trucks is really what kind of started my love and my passion for Kenworth trucks, and now, like, I'm old enough that I actually get to be the one that gets to, like, intertwine and interact. And I sent you a picture of when I was at the Chillicothe plant. I told the Alec guy that was, I think he's the plant maybe manager. I can't remember what his title is. He's going to kill me if he hears this. but I told him, I said, anybody that had anything to do with today, I said, I want their picture in front of this truck. And they got the plant to come out and
I saw that picture. Yeah, we'll show it right now for people that are watching on YouTube.
And I wanted them to come out and get their picture made in front of the truck, and it was absolutely, like, so surreal. And because there's a picture, or actually trucks, that Alabama got back in late mid-90s, somewhere in that neighborhood. They actually, it's actually a funny story. They had everyone in the plant sign the back of the trucks. Well, fans at the shows were thinking, oh, these are fans. Well, fans started signing the back of fans started signing the back of these trucks. Well, they ended up taking those off and actually put regular panels on the back of the sleepers because, like, the fans were coming up and signing the back of these sleepers of Alabama trucks. So it was amazing, but it's just getting to, like I said, getting to finally experience that, as growing up. And I was 8 years old the very first time I rode in one of Alabama's trucks, and I've been hooked ever since.
Well, talk about, and this is, I know it's more of a story, more of a question for your dad or the other band members, but the song "Roll On," super iconic.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's got to be one of the top, in my opinion, top 3 trucking songs or top 5. But where did that come from?
That was actually a song that I believe was pitched to them. Oh my gosh, I feel like a big spotlight just kind of got shined on me just then. But they wanted, in that era of their career, they wanted a trucking song. And it's like, honestly, I think that if I remember, like, Dad and I had the discussion about certain songs, and I think that was one of the songs that he and I had actually talked about. And I think he didn't think that it would be.
As
They
big of a
didn't think, yeah, they didn't think that it would be as big of a hit as it was, or as recognizable as Roll On actually became. And it got to be like, now, even now today, when they go to a show, like, the audience will, like, they'll be like, play Roll On, or like, Roll On. Like, I mean, they want them to play Roll On.
Yeah.
So as far as it being the heritage of it, I could not tell you, but
that's all right.
I know that it was legitimately, at the moment and in the time. Like, I mean, I think there's even like interview where they actually talked about that, like, solely about how, like, in that era, because they were the good old boys, the down home boys, country boys, farm boys, kind of thing. And they wanted, it's the reason why, like, they had 40-hour week. I mean, like, they wanted to
You're just
reach
talking about that. Yeah.
yeah, the blue collar, gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and goes to work. And then they wanted to reach out to the trucking industry too, because, I mean, like Dad said, Dad's the one that's like, we know that our music is played a lot probably by truckers, back in the day. And so that's the reason why they wanted to have a song that was relatable to those guys.
Well,
And
even back
so,
then, but I mean today too. But back then, so many of those truckers were farmers.
oh
I
yeah,
mean, it went hand in hand.
a
Yeah.
vast majority back then. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, there's still a big percentage today, but I think back then even greater, of how many of those guys that grew up on a farm or still had the farm, but trucking was just an offshoot, another part of their business that they kept busy. So, man, I'm going to be respectful of your time. I'm going to kind of segue here, but just a couple of other things I want to talk about, just because I'm visualizing this, like, when obviously you've been to hundreds of shows, maybe more thousand, but talk about, like, when you're there, obviously you're not watching the whole show because you've been there so many, like, what do you normally do? But talk about the fans, because I think that's the thing too, because, like, I love being around, I say this all the time, my people. My wife did not grow up in ag. I grew up in ag on farm, and there's times I go to these shows, I'll go to the fair or whatever, and she's like, Jared, you're with your people, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm with my people. But there's just something I love about that.
Right.
But I can visualize when you're at these shows, like, you're looking out across, or the people you're interacting with, it's the cowboy boots, it's the Carhartts, it's the Wranglers, it's the good farm kids, men, women. Talk about that.
That's such a surreal question, because the whole aspect of the people that have encompassed, that support the group Alabama, have been their me's. It's like it's a crowd full of me's. It's a crowd full of yous. It's a crowd full of everyone that's listening. It's the ones that that get up and fight every day, and have, like, a smile on their face, and when trials come, and, like, these songs, like, that Alabama sings, I mean, they sympathize, but they also tell a story that I think that everyone can relate to. And I think that when you look at the broad picture of whether it be 1,000 people, 5,000, or 10,000, or 20,000 people that are sitting and listening to these songs, everybody is going to relate to these, like, to those three guys standing on stage differently. And, like, from the farmer or from the pharmacist or from the doctor or from, it's all going to relate differently based on the fact of the experiences that each individual person has went through. And I think from a farmer standpoint and from a country boy and a down home boy and like, I mean, I had cow crap on my boots this morning when I left the farm before I came down. And it's like just realizing that it's like the life that the band and the brand that Alabama has kind of like built up is it's exactly like what you just said. I mean, it's just a bunch of us. I mean, that's all it is. And
I think it's a perfect segue to end because like when I opened up the line talking about mountain music, when I go back and I still hear those lines of using sawmill slabs. We owned a sawmill growing up. We had sawmill slabs that we made into, bats and everything else, like skinning cats. I remember we lived on a river. I mean, we had a river that we grew up on as kids, catching catfish and doing that. So that's why I think about those. And it's like, you just said it, like when you listen to those songs, it's who you are. It's like, man, I was that person growing up on that farm, those hot summer days, those nights, everything described in those songs. And man, that they just did such a great job. I think there's great songs today too, but now I think there's just that little bit of that good old boy, maybe they got lost that you don't hear maybe in today's music. I've always said this, and I'm going to end on this one. Like I have a vision one day of even like helping create like a good, like country or a good the new trucking song. Cause it's been a while since we've had like an iconic trucking song. We need to get one on there that gets back on the top, top 10, whatever Billboard. And man, if we could, and tell the story. Yeah. I mean, tell the stories of the people like you and the truckers out there that don't get talked about anymore, quite frankly. And I think I just think there's something to it. So it's, I'm a dreamer and a creator and a visionary. And I think I still have high hopes that find the right people. Maybe God's telling me that right now that we can make something happen. But Josh, man, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you for taking the time. I've been following you for a while, and thank you for graciously coming on the show. I honestly really look forward to continued conversations with you down the road. Love what you're doing out there. It is like right in line with our core business and what we do out there for trucking and agriculture. So, man, thank you so much. God bless you.
Jared, thank you so much for the opportunity, and it's been it's been an honor, and I appreciate you coming to me and saying, like, this is something I could only dream of, and I appreciate you more than I could say.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tyler, I wanted to be respectful for Josh, but like there was like question after question. I had some bolted out, but when he was talking about especially going on the road and even just the logistics, I mean, you don't have to be, even if you're in trucking, just learning how all that worked. Cause I always was curious when those bands go on tour, do the trucks come back? Do they go? Do they stay out? Right. How does all that work? So fascinating story.
Yeah. Super cool. And the fact that he's wanting to continue his trucking career after the tour and stuff. And you said that he was trying to get into grain hauling and exploring this industry, but they're just a bunch of good old boys that, they love ag and it's Alabama.
There was just something about it. He said this at the end, but those songs, they're so iconic, and there's other bands with these iconic ones, but there's something, I guess, personally, because of my relationship with my father and him loving the band. And then listen to those songs like mountain music. And man, you just go through the whole list of it, but it just resonated because you could hear those lyrics. And I think he said that at the end, that like they really tried to find songs that were for that everyday working man. And how cool that is, the industry that we're in.
Yeah, exactly. And they
those are our people.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool. I don't want to spill the beans, but I think Josh is going to come to the Bulk Freight Conference.
Oh, yeah.
And he may, I'm not saying he is, but may also bring
a member of the band, possibly.
Somebody. So it's up in the air, but I just want to say, come to the Bulk Freight Conference.
Yep. We're going to
coming up.
Man, that's exciting. Yeah. I hope that happens.
I'm not, it's not for sure, but we talked afterwards, and they actually, Josh and then they get on the road. They love, and this is a cool thing. Dude loves agriculture, loves trucking.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And when I told him about that, he's like, I want to be there. I want to come to this. He goes, man, we want to be there, and we love promoting agriculture and trucking, and this is where you can do it. So get your tickets. Bulk Freight Conference, April 16th through the 18th. The link will be in below, bulkfreightconference.com. Get registered. There's still tickets available. Again, we're going to be getting in the new year, and I think people are going to really start looking at their schedules, getting that on there. So be there. This thing just keeps getting better at the conference. It does. And I think
you can try to get a race car in there. And I mean, this thing is just, imagine drinking a beer, looking at a race car, maybe a member of the Alabama band is next to you.
It's just like all of your favorite things all coming together in one spot. So we've even, the race car, we may even have some other kind of motor vehicle there that we're working on as well. So Bulk Freight Conference coming up April 16th through the 18th. Go to the link, get your tickets, get your reservations at the hotel. It's going to be awesome, and we want you to be there.
Yeah. Also, Happy New Year. This is the start to 2025 here. And if you don't have any goals or resolutions set, you definitely want to make sure to sit down and do that, whether it's to grow your business or to work on anything personal in your life, spend more time with your kids, be more present, anything like that. I definitely think it's a good idea. And Jared, you firmly believe in this too. Sitting down, writing down your goals, putting a timeline to them. It helps you kind of execute those goals throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. New year, new goals, new plans. We know people have. I am very optimistic for 2025. I think this is going to be an awesome year for our industry.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, we just see the market goes up and down. If you watch any of our podcasts, Jesse Runyons has been saying it, and others have been saying it. So what better time to be in bulk trucking? And if you need, we have all these services. I'm not going to go over it on this podcast, but man, we can help you from beginning to almost end, everything involved in trucking. So get a hold of us. We want to help you out this year. We want you to be successful, and man, we want to be a part of that. We want to serve you to the best of our knowledge. So
the last thing I'll cover real quick is that our 2025 calendars, we ordered 1,000 this year. We keep ordering every year. We order more and more. We had 946 submissions requesting a calendar, which is awesome. But just so much. So we are still shipping those out. We want to make sure that everybody gets a calendar. But if you end up submitting the form, you don't get one, by the way, definitely let us know, and we'll, try to make it right by sending you a t-shirt or some other thing that we can get our hands on out to you.
Yeah. And get them pretty quick now before, like I said, it's the start of the year, and we want to get rid of them. We have no use for them otherwise. So reach out to that. So cool. Anything else before we head out of here?
I think that's it.
Yeah. Awesome video. I'm still like shaking.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
How do I do that again?
We need them to come to the conference.
It's getting really close. So, and you never know. We still got 4 months there may be more. We may have others. So super excited. So cool. You want to close us out in prayer?
Yep.
This year?
Lord, we come to you today just thank you and praise you, Lord. Lord, we ask that going into this new year, you just continue to bless us, Lord. And we ask that, Lord, you just be with us. Lord, I ask that anybody out there who is struggling with anything, Lord, we lift them up to you, Lord, and we ask them to lean on you because we know that you are a big God who can do big things, Lord. And we know that, nothing that we do is ever without you, Lord. So, Lord, we ask that you just bless this industry, Lord, that we have a great year. Lord, we ask that the agriculture industry, the trucking industry, all of our members, anybody who's listening out there, Lord, is able to know you if they don't know you this year, Lord. And we ask that whoever we interact with on a daily basis, Lord, they know immediately that, we have one mission, and it's to serve you, Lord. We love you and thank you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you as always for listening to the BulkLoads Podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure and subscribe by clicking in the little link down in the left-hand corner. Also, if you know somebody that would love this video, maybe an Alabama fan, share this with them. I think they would love this. It'd be a thank you from us. And also make sure and subscribe. Joe has released another video. We got a big deck of videos lined up for 2025. We're going to be out there visiting, showing, and these videos, man, I think they just keep getting better.
Amazing.
This last one he released is even better than the one before. So, and I think we're just learning what people want to see. He's learning the angles, and I am super excited about these upcoming videos, these shoots that we're going to across the country. If you do, and you're listening to this and you want to be featured, we do have a form for you to fill out. If you want us to come and visit you, we still have openings in 2025. It is getting filled up, but man, if you you want us to come out and visit, showcase yours, it's a win-win-win. I won't go into that, but reach out to us. We would love to come visit you as well. So
awesome.
Thank you for listening to the BulkLoads Podcast. Happy New Year 2025. Thank you so much. God bless.